Hello, my friends. It's Miss Martino again, and I'm super excited because we're going to be moving into a new skill, and that is going to be rounding. So this is something that we've seen before. This is not our first time that we've seen rounding. We're going to go ahead and read our learning goal. I'm going to say it, and you're going to repeat after me. I can round numbers to the nearest 10. So when you think of that word round, I want you to also think of the word approximately and the word estimate. Those are going to be clues that we are going to be rounding, okay? Now, when we're talking about rounding to the nearest 10, we're talking about numbers. We're talking about counting by 10, right? So we can start from 0, and then we go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and then it keeps going, right? We could count by tens for forever if we wanted to, okay? So when we're rounding to the nearest 10, we are going to get a number that looks like one of these, right? Or maybe it'll keep going, right? Maybe it'll be 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, right? The point is we're counting by 10 when we're rounding to 10. So I'm going to go ahead and erase my board. I need you to write the number 13. So in the number 13, what number is in the ones place? If you said 3, then you are correct. 3 is in the ones place. So, what number is in the tens place? If you said 1, you are correct. 1 is in the tens place. So remember, we are rounding to the nearest 10. Okay? Now, in order to round to the nearest 10, we actually need to look at the number in the ones place first. So which number is in the ones place? That's right. The number 3 is in the ones place. Now, I want you to remember this saying, and I'm going to have you repeat it after me, okay? 5 or more, raise the score. So if a number is 5 or more, that means that the number in the tens place is going to go up by 1, right? So if I have say a 6 in my ones place in this number, say the number was 16 instead, I would have to raise the number in the tens place, which is 1, up to a 2, right? But is 3 equal to 5, or is it more than 5? No. So that means that we're actually rounding down. So here's what we do. Because the number 3 is less than 5, we're rounding down. So the number in the tens place is going to stay the same, and the number in the ones place is going to change to 0. So ultimately, 13 rounds to 10. Go ahead and erase. The next number that we're going to look at is 22. So in my ones place, I have this 2. And in my tens place, I have this 2. Is 2 equal to 5 or more? No. Remember, it's 5 or more, raise the score. But 2 is less than 5. So that means we're rounding down. So that means that this number in the tens place is going to stay the same, and the number in our ones place is going to change to 0. So the 2 in the tens place remains, and the 2 in the ones place turns to 0. So the number 22 changes to 20 when we round it to the nearest 10. Go ahead and erase your boards. The next number that we're going to look at is the number 44. There's a 4 in the tens place, and there's also a 4 in the ones place. I want you to round 44 to the nearest 10. You're going to go ahead and type your answer in the box that's going to pop up on the screen. Welcome back. Let's go ahead and check your answer to see if you rounded 44 correctly to the nearest 10. So, the number in our ones place is 4, which is less than 5, which means we round down. So the number in the tens place stays the same. So I'm going to write my 4 over here. And the number in the ones place turns to 0 since we are rounding down. So 44 rounded to the nearest 10 equals 40. Ta-da! Erase your boards. Now write the number 71. I want you to round 71 to the nearest 10. Go ahead and type the correct answer into the box that's going to pop up on the screen. You are rounding 71 to the nearest 10. All right, let's check our answers. So, in the ones place, we're always going to look at the ones place first. We have the number 1. Is this 5 or more? No, so we do not raise the score. This means we have to round down. So remember, when we round down, our number in the tens place stays the same, and our number in the ones place turns to 0. So 71 rounded to the nearest 10 equals 70. Did you get the correct answer? Erase your board. The next number that we're going to look at is 77. We're going to do this one together. I'm first going to look at the number in my ones place, which is a 7. Now, is 7 5 or more? It is. 7 is bigger than the number 5. Remember, 5 or more, raise the score. So, we need to raise the score, which means that the number in the tens place is going to go up by 1. So, that number 7 that's in our tens place is going to go up by 1 number. We're going to add 1 number to that number 7, which turns it into a number 8. Now, we cannot forget about the number in the ones place. Whenever we're rounding by 10, the number in the ones place is always, in the end, going to turn into a 0. And that's how we get the number 80. 77, when rounded to the nearest 10, equals 80. Erase your boards. Now write 58. What number is in our ones place? 8. Is 8 5 or more? Yes. 8 is equal to 5 or more, which means we need to raise the score. So, the 5 in our tens place is going to go up by 1 and change to a 6. Because 5 plus 1 equals 6. And then the number in our ones place will always turn to 0. So 58 rounds to 0. Erase your boards. The next number, I want you to try rounding by yourself. I know that you can do it. The next number I want you to write on your board is 45. I want you to determine, what does 45 become when you round it to the nearest 10? Solve your answer on your board and then type it into the box on the screen. Let's see if your answer is correct. So in the number 45, what's in our ones place? That's right. The number in our ones place is 5. Remember, 5 or more, raise the score. Is this number 5 or more? Yes, it's a 5. So that means we need to raise the score for the number in the tens place. When you take the number 4 and you add 1 more, it becomes 5. Then remember, the number in the ones place will always turn to 0. So 45 rounds to 50 when you are rounding to the nearest 10. Erase your board. The next number I want you to write is 87. I want you to round 87 to the nearest 10. Type your answer in the box. Let's check your answer. What is my number in the ones place? 7. Is 7 equal to 5 or more? Yes. Remember, 5 or more, raise the score. So we add 1 to the number in the tens place. So that 8, when you add 1, becomes 9. And then the number in the ones place will always turn to 0 when you're rounding to 10. All right, boys and girls, it is time to climb.